All right, so we're diving into W. Somerset Maugham's The Force of Circumstance today.
Ooh, the force of circumstance.
I'm so excited to talk about this one.
Yes.
We've got excerpts from the story,
Yeah.
and we've got some really fascinating critical analysis to kind of pick apart as well.
Excellent.
Are you ready to get into it?
Absolutely. I think this story is, well, one of the things that strikes me immediately is how Maugham just drops us right into this world
Yeah.
of the Malay archipelago,
Nice atmosphere.
early 20th century.
Nice.
You know, we're not just geographically there, we're almost like atmospherically there.
Right, and I felt that right away just reading those opening lines.
Yeah.
It's like you can smell the humidity.
You're there.
You can hear those exotic birds calling out. It's like he paints this picture that's so vivid.
Yes.
You can practically feel the sweat
And we're right there
trickling down your back.
with Doris on the veranda
I know.
waiting for her husband.
It's so, and that setting too is not just a backdrop.
No, it's so much more. I mean, think about the descriptions of the jungle, the river that's always there.
Right.
It's almost like the landscape itself is another character in the story.
I like that. It's
Yeah.
like nature's reflecting this inner turmoil that Doris and Guy are about to
Exactly.
face arm.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about Doris and Guy.
Yes, let's meet these characters.
These newlyweds, supposedly so blissfully happy at the beginning,
Yeah.
but right away you see that they are practically opposites.
Opposites attract, right?
Right. But
Well-
we'll see if that's true in this story, right?
Yes, we will.
But we have Doris, who's so organized and practical. She's a secretary.
Very much so.
And then you have Guy, who is this jovial,
Almost boyish.
boyish colonial officer. And I feel like Mom's doing this so deliberately, this contrast.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just for fun.
Right.
He's setting us up for conflict.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that contrast.
And it's almost comical at first.
It is.
They're dynamic.
Hmm.
But then there's this underlying tension,
Oh, yeah.
especially with Guy. You start to wonder, is he really as carefree as he seems?
Exactly.
Right.
That's the question.
Like, what is he hiding?
And then, bam, this shadow of the past emerges, and we learn about this practice
Yeah.
of European men taking quote-unquote temporary wives
Wait.
during these colonial postings.
Hold on. So you're saying this was actually a common practice?
It was.
Like, that blows my mind.
It really does add a whole other layer to the story.
Yeah.
And it was crucial to understand this historical context because at the time,
Right.
it wasn't viewed as scandalous.
Oh,
It was just how things were done.
interesting.
But of course, this practice created all sorts of moral and social dilemmas.
Right.
And that's exactly what Maugham explores here.
I can only imagine the fallout of that.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then we're introduced to the Malay woman
Yes.
and Guy's 3 mixed-race children.
Talk about a bombshell, right?
It's like a bomb has been dropped.
It changes everything.
Everything Doris thought she knew about her husband and their future, it just implodes.
It implodes.
Yeah.
And you see Doris grappling with this discovery.
How could you not?
It's not just disappointment. It's like something much deeper going on.
It's visceral, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something else.
And Maugham, he uses that language too.
He does.
He doesn't shy away from it.
The way Doris reacts to the house.
Right. The way she describes her reaction to the bed she slept in.
The bed.
The word goose flesh.
Well,
It's like I could feel her revulsion.
I know that word.
Like it was my own skin crawling.
It just, yeah,
Ugh.
gives you the chills.
It's so powerful.
And he's not just telling us that she's uncomfortable.
Right.
He's conveying this sense of deep violation.
Yes.
A complete upheaval of her world, her understanding of everything.
Right. Like her whole world is turned upside down.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder, is this just about personal prejudice or is there something more?
It's a good question.
Right. I mean, she's obviously disturbed by the situation itself.
Right.
But could it also be a reaction to these deeper implications?
I think so.
Like, is she also feeling the weight of societal anxieties
Absolutely.
about race, sexuality,
Yeah.
even the stability of the British Empire itself?
I think that's a brilliant observation.
It's like all of these things are colliding.
Remember, Doris represents this ideal
Right.
of British womanhood.
Yes.
She's been brought up with specific values, expectations.
Right.
And this throws all of that into question.
It challenges everything.
Everything, yeah, about her understanding of marriage, of fidelity, of her place in the world.
Right.
It
Yeah.
just throws everything up in the air.
It's like, what does it all mean now?
Exactly.
What are the rules?
Yeah, the rules have changed.
And how do you even begin to navigate this new reality?
It's a lot to process for Doris and for us as readers, too.
Totally. And I think that's one of the things that makes this story so fascinating.
It really is. It's so much more than just a simple tale of infidelity.
It's about these larger forces at play, these clashing worldviews.
The personal and the political colliding in such a dramatic way,
Right, and we see how those collisions can have devastating consequences.
both for individuals and for society as a whole.
Yeah, and I think that's something that still resonates with us today, even though we're not living in a colonial world anymore.
Absolutely. The themes of cultural clashes, identity, the search for belonging, they're timeless.
So true. And Maugham is a master at weaving all of this together.
He really is.
He doesn't just give us a plot, he delves into the inner lives of his characters.
Their motivations, their struggles, their flaws, it's all there.
It's like he's holding up a mirror to human nature
The good and the bad,
and showing us that it's often those gray areas
the messy bit.
where the most interesting stories lie.
Exactly, the complexities that make us human.
Right, and that's what keeps us coming back for more.
Always searching for those deeper truths.
Absolutely.
And Mom helps us find them
Yes, he does.
in the most unexpected places.
All right, so we've set the stage. We've met our players.
We've got the context.
Where do we go from here?
Well, things are about to get really interesting, I can tell you that.
I have a feeling.
The drama is just beginning.
No, I'm ready for it.
Buckle up.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Yeah, it's like everything stable in her life is now like teetering on the edge.
Exactly.
And speaking of unsteady, we have to talk about this title.
Yeah. The force of circumstance.
What a phrase.
What a loaded phrase.
God, it just hangs over everything.
And I think it can be interpreted on so many levels.
Oh, yeah?
We've got these societal expectations of the time, you know,
Right.
the pressure on these colonial officers
No, to maintain a certain image.
to play the part. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like they're caught in this web.
in this web of duty and decorum.
And you mentioned earlier this whole idea of the British Empire as this family unit.
Yeah, this big happy family.
But how much of a family can it be when it's built on this, like, stark power imbalance?
That's the hypocrisy that Maugham's exposing. This
Right.
idealized image of a unified, harmonious family
Mm.
versus the messy reality of colonial life.
Right, and Doris is just expected to slip right into the role
To turn a blind eye to the past.
of the dutiful wife.
Yeah.
And accept this ready-made family.
Which is just impossible
Impossible.
for her to do.
And I mean, her revulsion, it's not just personal.
No, it's tied to those very ideals of family and marriage that she's been raised with.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if Mom is using Doris to critique the entire colonial system.
I think that's a really insightful reading.
Right.
He's showing us the cracks in that facade
Yeah.
of the happy colonial family,
Right.
how the whole system is built on inequality, on racial prejudice, on exploitation,
And Doris is stuck right in the middle of it,
trying to make sense of it
to
all.
reconcile her own values
Yeah.
with this world she's been thrown into.
Her internal conflict is so palpable,
Oh, absolutely.
and it really makes you ask,
Yeah,
can you ever truly separate the personal from the political?
right.
Can love really conquer all?
Even in the face of history.
Even in the face of these massive cultural differences.
Those are some heavy questions.
They are.
And honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know if there are easy answers.
I don't think there are.
But that's what makes this story so powerful, so relevant even today.
Exactly.
Right.
We might not be living in a colonial world anymore,
Hmm.
but those themes, cultural clashes,
Yeah.
the individual versus society,
Mm-hmm.
the search for identity,
Right.
they're timeless.
Timeless.
They resonate with us just as strongly today.
So true.
Maugham was a master.
Maugham is a master.
Okay,
He's still a master to us, even though he's not with us.
a master storyteller.
Right. He's a master at weaving all of this together.
Yeah.
He doesn't just give us a plot.
No.
He delves into the inner lives
He goes deep.
of his characters,
Yeah.
their motivations, their struggles, their flaws.
All laid bare.
It's like he's holding up a mirror to human nature
Yeah, the good and the bad.
and showing us that it's often in those gray areas
The messy bits.
where the most interesting stories lie.
That's where the good stuff is.
And you know that image of Doris fleeing the house,
Oh, powerful.
leaving everything behind.
It's a statement, isn't
And
it?
it's such a powerful statement. It's like
Yeah.
she's rejecting that imposed circumstance,
Absolutely.
this life that just doesn't align with her values.
She's drawing a line in the sand.
And it makes you think, is there an element of feminism in this story?
Ooh, interesting.
I mean, it was written almost a century ago,
Mm-hmm.
but her choice feels so bold.
Yeah, it's a valid interpretation
Right.
for his time.
Yeah.
Maugham was quite progressive
Right.
in his portrayal of women.
Yeah.
They weren't these passive figures. They
Mhm.
had agency. They made choices.
Yeah.
And Doris, she makes a difficult choice.
Yeah.
And it has profound consequences
Yes.
for both her and Guy.
Speaking of Guy.
Yes, let's talk about Guy.
We've talked a lot about Doris's experience, but I'm curious about him.
Okay.
He doesn't seem that bothered by his actions.
No, it's more about being caught, isn't it?
Exactly. Why is he more bothered by being caught than by the actions themselves?
That's a great point.
What does that tell us about him and the colonial mindset?
I think there's a certain immaturity to Guy,
Right.
a sense of entitlement
Yeah.
that's common to that colonial mentality.
Right. Like he's used to getting his way.
He operates within a different moral framework.
Mm-hmm. And the consequences don't seem to fully register.
Not till it's too late.
Not until it's too late.
Yeah.
And then there's that final scene,
Oh, yes.
that reunion with his Malay son.
Powerful.
Such a powerful yet ambiguous moment.
So much left unsaid.
What's your take on that?
That's where it gets really fascinating, I think.
Okay.
You know, we have to ask ourselves,
Yeah.
what does this reunion signify?
Right.
Is it a return to normalcy for Guy?
Mm.
Is it a tragic surrender to fate?
Mm.
Or could it be something else?
Right. Is there something more?
Perhaps a glimmer of hope,
Ooh, a glimmer of hope.
a chance at redemption.
Okay.
Maugham doesn't give us a clear answer,
Right. He leaves it open.
and I think that's deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
He wants us to wrestle with these possibilities,
It's almost like he's challenging us,
challenging us
as readers,
Yeah.
to decide how we interpret this.
how we judge Guy.
Yeah. Do we see him as a victim of circumstance?
Mhm.
Or do we hold him accountable
Right.
for his choices?
And ultimately,
Right.
is there potential for growth and change,
Right.
even amidst the wreckage of his past?
Those are such good questions.
They are, aren't they?
And it's fascinating how, even though the story is set in this specific time and place,
Mm-hmm.
those questions about responsibility,
Accountability.
about the consequences of our actions,
Yeah,
they still resonate so strongly today.
they do.
I'm with you on that.
It's a testament to Maugham's skill as a writer.
Yeah.
His ability to tap into these universal human experiences
Right.
that transcend time and place.
I'm sure our listener is deep in thought right now,
Probably scribbling down notes.
trying to unpack it all.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. There's so much here.
But that's what we love about it, right?
That's what makes it so good.
The stories that stay with us.
The ones that make us think.
The ones that challenge us.
Exactly. And the force of circumstance definitely does that.
It certainly does.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
So much to unpack.
So much to unpack.
Yeah.
But I think before we, go too far down the rabbit hole,
Right.
let's try to pull together some of these threads that
Okay.
we've been talking about.
Let's try to synthesize.
Let's synthesize.
Yeah.
And, we've talked about Doris.
Doris's escape.
Yeah, Doris's escape, this decision to break free
Yeah.
from this situation.
This impossible situation.
Right. But what about Guy?
Yeah, what about Guy?
What happens to him?
Is he left to just face the music?
I mean, that final scene, right?
The sun walks in.
Son walks in, he's alone, he's defeated.
Defeated.
And then this moment of reunion.
But also confrontation.
Like such a powerful image.
Powerful but ambiguous.
Right, so ambiguous. And Mom just doesn't,
Spell it out for us.
he doesn't spell it out for us.
He leaves us hanging.
He leaves us with questions.
Yeah.
Is this like a return to his old life?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a tragic acceptance of his fate? Or is it something more?
I tend to think it's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Perhaps it's a chance for Guy
Yeah.
to finally confront his past, honestly,
Right.
to forge a real relationship with his children.
So you see a glimmer of hope there.
I do. I see a possibility for growth,
Yeah.
for change.
Okay.
Maybe this is the catalyst for something new,
Something different.
something better even.
Yeah, I like that.
It makes me think about how we view redemption.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always this grand gesture,
All right.
this sudden transformation.
Right. It's not always a Hollywood ending.
Exactly.
Mm.
Sometimes it's these quiet moments of reckoning,
Yeah.
of accepting responsibility,
Right.
and taking those small steps forward.
And it can come from the most unexpected
A
places.
sweltering night in the Malay archipelago.
A son walking into a room.
Yeah, a simple act that changes everything.
And I think that's a beautiful way to look at it.
It's a reminder that even when we make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
even when life throws us these curveballs,
Right.
there's still the possibility for change,
Pure connection.
for forgiveness.
Mom doesn't give us those easy answers.
He doesn't.
Right.
He leaves us with these questions, these possibilities.
Yeah.
And that's the mark of a truly great writer, I think,
Right, he trusts his readers to kind of wrestle with that.
to grapple with that complexity of
Yeah.
human experience.
And so I think that's what we're left with here. We've
Yeah.
talked about colonialism,
About identity,
about societal
the
expectations,
weight of history,
the weight of history, but at its core, this is a story about relationships,
about love, loss, betrayal,
about the choices we make,
and the consequences we face,
and the possibility of forgiveness.
and how all of those forces,
Hmm.
internal and external,
Yeah.
shape our lives.
In ways we don't expect.
Absolutely.
So to our listener out there,
Yeah, to our listener.
we hope this deep dive
This exploration of the force of circumstance,
has sparked some insightful reflections.
maybe it's made you think about the forces at play in your own life,
The choices you make.
the paths you choose to follow.
And maybe it's even inspired you to explore more of Maugham's work.
He's got so many great stories,
He does. He's such a master storyteller.
full of insight and depth.
Thanks for joining us on this journey
It's been a pleasure.
into the heart of the force of circumstance.
Until next time,
Keep those minds curious
and those hearts open
to the endless possibilities.
of great literature.
See you next time.